Today, I'm thrilled to announce my plan to lower healthcare prices for
Wow, how are you going to do that?
all Americans and truly make healthcare affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do.
All right. Well, he's been working on this for, I guess, a decade because he said he was going to fix the healthcare system when he first came in, and then he just cut the single payer mandate and couldn't touch Obamacare because as flawed as it is, it's better than what we had before. I mean, it guarantees protections on pre-existing conditions, and if you want to get healthier, you have to take care of your pre-existing conditions. You won't have energy if you have uncontrolled diabetes, and it stops lifetime caps where like insurance companies can stop covering you after you've cost a certain amount of money if you have some kind of chronic illness. It does work through private healthcare companies, which is very frustrating because there's a big inflated CEO structure and it's very expensive. My healthcare with my wife is like $650 a month, I want to say, but then we have an out of pocket that's an $8,900 a year. So we basically pay $15,000 to $16,000 a year just to get full coverage. It's a lot, and like we do well, so it's okay for us. But I could not imagine how you could afford it if you made like less than my wife and I make. It's fucking crazy. So we really need to figure out a way. I think an expansion of like Medicare for everybody. It has a government run option so that the government can say, hey, we're going to try to like set prices, and they're going to generally be reduced prices because they don't have to make money for CEOs. It's still not going to run perfectly, but that can add competition into the market for other companies to go like, oh, we have to offer a better product. And maybe it wouldn't work, but at least you wouldn't completely top size the entire infrastructure. You would have like a competitive option of Medicare, which seems to be working generally speaking. So that's the way to really do it. And then like insurance companies can adjust. Like if we give people a nice baseline level of care, insurance companies can do subsidized care for people who want to spend more money. I think that's fine. But I think that we're at a point now where the richest country in the world can afford to lower prices and give everybody health care, which it would lower prices. Things are so fucking expensive unnecessarily.
We're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan.
Okay, let's see what
Instead
you
of
got.
putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first,
All right, you're going to cut those?
our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket.
I love it. How do you do that?
The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you.
Oh, how does that help? Instead of giving it directly to the insurance company through like an ACA subsidy, you're just going to give it to me to give the insurance company? How does this give me any more power?
And then you take the money and buy your own health care.
How does this do anything for anybody at all? This actually makes things like, this is just strange because I think most people, I could be wrong, they get their health care through their job. So 60% of like non-elderly Americans, so 60% of people that don't, couldn't get Medicare or Medicaid, get through insurance through their job. So my job is still going to make the decision to what they're going to buy, right? Or my wife's job in my instance. So you're going to give me $2,000. I don't know what that does. I guess I have $2,000 more. But what does this do for people who are on, like, for instance, like an Obamacare subsidy already? Like, how does that help them? Giving $2,000 to them instead of subsidizing it if they make a certain amount of money? That just doesn't seem like we're doing anything at all. This seems stupid.
Nobody's ever heard of that before.
I think it's really stupid. It makes no sense.
And that's the way it is. The big
But it certainly is the way it is.
Insurance companies lose.
How?
And the people of our country win.
How?
This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation drug pricing agreement.
That's great. That sounds nice. I don't know the specifics of it. That sounds nice. But how does this help anybody? What is the average healthcare cost? Because I know that without my wife's job subsidy, it would cost $2,000 a month plus the $8,900. So we're talking about $24,000 plus like $9,000. So we're talking about $33,000 a year without that, like without the getting money through the job or getting it through the job. So how does this help any American? How does this help any? I don't get this. Is this in replace of the ACA? I think one of my biggest problems with this idea is that it's a flat amount. It seems to be a flat amount of money per month. I'm very skeptical about this, especially if it's a flat rate.
Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it, but they never were able to do it. No other president.
It's also through a health savings account, so you can't even use it on your premium. Like, so people don't, like, just so you guys know, an HSA is like a separate, I have an HSA with my wife. We contribute to it every year, the maximum amount. A health savings account is, it doesn't go to, you can't put that onto your premium. So if you're getting a healthcare, if you get healthcare through somebody, like let's say right now you get your healthcare and it's subsidized by the government and you have like the monthly cost subsidized. And maybe it's like $40 to go to a visit. I'm like, okay, fine. And maybe you're healthy and don't necessarily use it, which I think is okay. You should have it just in case so you don't get fucked if you get linked to a car accident or something. But like, let's, this is going to take away. It seems like it would take away the subsidy on the per month payment, which is going to be your bigger payment, I would say, for the average American, and give you $2,000 that you can maybe use. Like maybe you'll get to use it. I don't know if you actually use the healthcare. If not, you're just paying a premium every month that this can't go to. So how does this help anybody? Like this seems to like be an economic burden. I don't think that this implements well.
Was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it.
What? It's so weird that he's bragging about the reduction of drug prices when America has like the highest drug prices unnecessarily than like any other, especially first world country. So he's trying to say that he like got people to agree to it in other countries? What is it? They already were doing things like this. Their healthcare and medications are already less expensive. In fact, I think most of these other countries, you can't even advertise for healthcare on the like online, like whatever, you understand what I'm saying, like online, whatever you're saying, commercials. That's what I'm trying to say. What is he talking about?
They got it, and for the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. What? It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of before.
Like what, 91%? I don't know how much it would actually reduce these things. It's a good thing to reduce prices. I think that should just be. I think that a good step could just be to limit the cost of different drugs from Trump being like, we're going to do the existing system plus drug reduction. One of the things I'm skeptical of is that there's a lot of drugs out there, like let's say like a GLP-1, for instance, where it's very expensive, but you can get a discount card online, like unironically, or like I go to Costco, and I don't know how it'll be this year, but last year they give you, I think it was, I want to say it was $1,500 reduction. So you paid $50 and everything after that was covered until you went through that $1,500 coupon. So like I got my Manjaro pretty much only for $50 a month last year. And the reason I bring this up is because I wonder if these are going to be meaningful reductions, or if these are just going to be like more streamlined coupons, which I guess is still good because not everybody knows about coupons. I don't know. This doesn't seem like a very good, comprehensive, intelligent plan. Yeah, he does look like AI, doesn't he?
Your prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month.
Okay. Well, we already know that you can't literally do that. I think he just says this to try to rage bait at this point. I don't think that's the focus of this.
At the TrumpRx.gov. So
TrumpRx.gov. What the fuck? That's crazy. Okay, cool.
Instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the world.
Coming soon. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on this. It says it's coming in January. It is in January, but it says say coming soon eventually. There it is. Okay, incredible. Love it.
Which we have for decades. We will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation. So any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay, and the American people will get the savings. So
I hope that's true. I mean, it's hard to trust a guy who lies a lot. We still haven't gotten the Epstein list, even though he ran on releasing it, and still hasn't done that, even though Congress told him he had to. He released like 1% of it. So I'm not sure I trust you, but this could be good, but I don't think it is. It sounds bad.
Reiterate, the lowest price in the world is what you're going to pay.
Doubtful.
Before you were,
especially since he decided to, I think he did a tariff, and maybe he's so fucking all over the place with them. But he did a tariff on like I think he did a tariff on drugs coming into from other countries, didn't he? Because he wanted to produce them all here. Which I guess I get it, but that's just going to inflate the price more, no? Especially if you have to build the factories now. It's going to take a while to build up that infrastructure.
Paying the highest price in the world by far, and the politicians did nothing about it. So I'm asking,
did they do nothing about it? Pretty sure Biden did. The Biden-Harris administration implemented several drug price caps and cost reduction measures for Medicare beneficiaries. I guess that's just Medicare. They did an insulin cap of $35 a month, which is really good for, I guess, Medicare specifically, a $2,000 annual out-of-pocket cap. There's Medicare drug price negotiation. The laws allows Medicare to directly negotiate for prices at high cost for certain high-cost drugs, which I think is great. That actually, with the first negotiated prices taking effect in 2026, so it sounds like Trump is kind of taking credit for something Biden implemented. And then there's instant rebates. Drug companies are required to pay rebates to Medicare if they raise prices faster than the rate of inflation. Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe part of what he's doing is just riding Biden's accomplishments here.
Congress to complete the work that we've started. Next, my plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and
How does that reduce premiums if they're going to stop subsidizing the premiums? That doesn't make any sense.
sending that money directly to the people.
But you're doing it through an HSA, which can't reduce the premiums. By definition, you cannot apply those to premiums.
Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich.
I don't think that that's true. I think that it was designed to take a step closer to a single payer healthcare system where the government runs specifically our healthcare, or at least a pretty big part of it, which I think is not a bad idea. Have people pay taxes on it and pay a percentage of their income, and they can get on like Medicare or something similar. I think it was a step in the right direction, but like I think the market they wouldn't have been ready for a direct transfer from and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that we would have been ready to go right from a privatized healthcare system directly to a public run healthcare system. I think that could have been a system shock. So I don't think that that's true.
I call it the Unaffordable Care Act.
Okay. Well, affordability is apparently a psyop, Trump says, doesn't he? Like Democrat hoax. So
with billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that helped their stock prices skyrocket over 1,700%. As you paid more money for healthcare every single year, more and more.
True, but so the problem is that the reason that it increased this year was because of Republicans, right? So again, Biden implemented a extension of the subsidies to people who make like 4x the poverty line, so up to $50,000 a year, basically, for an individual. And I think it's more than that. I think it's like 100,000 or plus for a household, like a family. It might be, but either way, like that's the general amount. And the Republicans, that's why we had the shutdown, because the Democrats wanted to extend that at the very least to have a conversation, and the Republicans refused to do that. That's part of it. I think it's something to keep in mind is that like the prices always would have gone up, specifically because they're being forced to cover people with pre-existing conditions. That was always going to happen. Like you can't have it both ways. You can't force people to cover pre-existing conditions, which are high-cost individuals, and then also keep insurance prices low. And I prefer it this way. I think that people with pre-existing conditions should be able to get covered. But like that's one of the reasons for the increase. The same thing with like there used to be a lifetime cap on how much you could get out of an insurance company. These things are gone now. Like they have to cover you, which is a good thing, and that was always going to inflate the price. So part of the price inflation comes from that. I think a decent chunk of it. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying like I wish that we could operate with a little intelligence and just be productive, move productively.
The premiums went higher and higher.
True.
I want to end this flagrant scam and put extra money straight into the healthcare savings account in your name, and you go out and buy your own healthcare.
Thanks, man.
And you'll make a great deal. You get better healthcare for
I very highly doubt what he's saying is true.
less money. That way you can choose the care that is right for your family. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen.
But it doesn't, does it? Oh, brokers. Okay, I guess he's talking about... Okay, I guess he's talking about people who help you find healthcare. That's not a bad thing. I don't really know how healthcare works. Like, I don't know how to get healthcare by myself, because I remember like I wanted it to see how much it would cost through, like if I just got it myself to see if if my wife wanted to quit her job, and I put my name on a list, and I got like 1,000 calls a day. It's not 1,000, but I got like 100 calls in a day, and I had to keep picking up and being like, take me off the list because it was too much. So that could be good, but again, like you could just take away middleman insurance brokers and make it easier for like directly communicate with healthcare companies without doing whatever you're doing. Like that's a reasonable step, but you don't need that. Obamacare doesn't need that. I don't think. Maybe it does. I don't know. In the sense, maybe it does. No, I don't think it does. I'm trying to think, because right now my understanding of the way it works, especially if you're getting subsidized healthcare, is that it's like a roulette. Like each insurance company is like required to take the person, because nobody really wants to take somebody who can't afford their own healthcare. Even if you get a subsidy, it's still a pain in the ass, and I understand that. So it's kind of like a roulette in some instances. But I mean, like, it's a good idea to let people choose the insurance provider they want to operate with. But I mean, again, you don't need to deconstruct. You don't need to do this weird, weird HSA program
that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to do, drive up the cost. But we're driving down the costs. And it fully funds a long neglected part of the law known as the Cost Sharing Reduction Program. This measure alone should cut premiums on the most popular Obamacare plans. It's hard to believe there are any because it's a hated program.
I don't think it's that hated. What the fuck? I'm like looking into this commission aspect, and they'll take anywhere from 5 to 20% of your premium. Apparently, they're supposed to advocate for you to potentially lower costs, but I don't know, dude. I mean, maybe that's true. Maybe that's why my wife's insurance, like if I paid for it out of my pocket, it'd be $2,000 a month, but it's only like $650 a month. So maybe they do some kind of advocation, but I don't know. The whole system is fucked. I don't think that this makes it any better, but
it's unaffordable. But it's going to cut them by an average of 10 to 15%. Next, the Great Healthcare Plan. That's the name. It's called the Great Healthcare because it's great healthcare.
I bet.
At a lower price.
Okay.
Mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers so that special interests can no longer profiteer at your expense. As the saying goes, sunlight.
I think this is AI too, dude. This is weird.
Is the best disinfectant. That is why my plan orders all insurance companies to publish rate and coverage comparisons in very plain English.
Sure, that's a good idea. Again, this is something that I feel like this feels like a sidestep. Like when it comes to our healthcare, why are we sidestepping instead of progressing? This is just a lateral move. At best, at worst, this is a disaster that's going to make it so that you have to pay more out of your pocket for your healthcare premiums, which is what it seems to be. But like instead, why wouldn't you just escalate to some kind of a socialized program of like some kind of Medicare for all? That makes the most sense. Like it's time that we stop playing these fucking like there are things where like a market economy is good. I think there's some services where maybe it's not. I don't think that healthcare is something that you should be prioritizing capitalism on. Look at his smoothing of his face. Yeah, dude, he might be AI.
Requires insurers to publish detailed information about how much.
This is so weird. The video quality is so grainy.
Much of your money they're going to be paying out in claims versus how much they're taking in profits. In other words, you will be able to watch the scam. It forces them to release detailed data on how many claims are being denied and whether those denials are eventually overturned on appeal.
Okay.
And most importantly, it will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices at their place of business so that you are never surprised and you can easily shop for a better deal or better care. And
I mean, that's nice. I think right now, I think you can do that if you go to a hospital website, though, can't you? I think you can do that. Didn't Trump cut like $1 trillion, $1 trillion in Medicare? Apparently it was $500 billion. Trump's big ugly law. This one's not okay. That's so nice. But didn't they cut $1 trillion in Medicare? No? Medicaid cuts $1 trillion plus. On July, President signed one big beautiful bill. OBA sounds like Obama, which cut nearly $1 trillion from Medicaid over the next 10 years. Medicare gets $500 billion. It's supposed to do $500 billion in automatic cuts to Medicare. Is that additional? Oh my God! Wait, so he cut $1.5 trillion over the next 10 years, so $150 billion a year in Medicare and Medicaid. I just feel like I don't have the confidence in him to trust that he cares about citizens getting health care in any capacity. Like he just froze a bunch of subsidies to Minnesota, and I know people are like, well, there might be fraud there, and that's a very valid claim, but what they're asking, Minnesota has a problem with too many there's just too much free market mixture with government subsidies where like for instance, they have like a bunch of small transportation companies where like one individual can work with Uber and make themselves their own transportation company, or you might have a transportation company with like 3 cars or 5 or 10 or 20 plus. It's all over the place, so it's hard to get specific receipts. So while they investigate fraud, there's a lot of people, I'd say the majority of people, who are losing out to services that need these services because it's not as easy as just handing over receipts. It's such a complicated process. You know what I mean? It's such a complicated process. I can't really, I just don't trust him when it comes to healthcare in any capacity. I don't think that he's shown that he's a reliable source of information for healthcare.
You're going to end up doing both. You're going to get a better deal and better care.
Whoa, Papa John's.
We will have maximum price transparency. and cost.
Trans, you got to cut that, right? Trump, don't you cut everything that has the trans prefix on it? And he cut like transgenic, like mice research. That's really just putting human cells in like rats or mice, right? To test for cancers. You cut that, because it had the word trans in it or the prefix trans.
Will come down incredible.
It's fucking ridiculous. It does seem like he upheld this transgender mice thing. So okay. I mean, it's really hard to trust somebody who's that stupid that doesn't understand transgenic versus transgender.
I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law without delay. Have to do it right now so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, the people I love.
Okay. Maybe instead they can pass the Obamacare extension, the AC. Oh, that makes sense, because right now, dude, this actually makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think it was AI, but this actually makes perfect sense because right now, House Republicans and Democrats bipartisanly passed an extension for the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare subsidies, that would make it so that people that make like 4x the poverty line can still get a subsidy on their health care, right? Which is, a great thing. And it might go to the Senate. So I think that Trump is trying, like, that's an optical failure for Trump because they shut the government down because they didn't want to extend those services, which are very necessary for people. And so I think that the idea is to say, like, oh, I have this new great plan. We can implement it right now. It'll be such an economic reliever. And while it's, implement that and have the, Senate Republicans knock down the ACA subsidy extension, which he'll probably have Vance knock down anyway, but to sell an alternative, even if the alternative is bad. I think that that's the idea of it. I think the idea is to sell like a bad alternative to it. But like, it looks like Trump has something else. It's like, okay, we can give this up. It'll be okay if our healthcare is a little more expensive, and then probably never really get whatever this like a plan is implemented. I mean, he promised to pay people like $2,000 from the tariffs, which would be stupid. I mean, we should pay down our debt, but that's what he promised. He continuously promises people this like money that never comes. So